Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome back to the Realism Project. It's not very realistic right now, but we'll get there. It takes a little time. Off screen, I decided to throw this together. And of course, it didn't quite realize how huge it ended up being. And of course, I did it flat rather than vertical, so I needed to adjust that. But it's a bit big. I don't think it's going to stay there. So the next thing is to put down where our main plaza is going to end up. So that's going to be somewhere central. Now I can hook my paths up to that and create a spoke. Now let's plan out where we're going to put our backstage, our warehouses and stuff like that. So this is looking like a fairly interesting spot. So we'll use this. We'll just flatten it out. This obviously is where all the deliveries are going to be at. Some staff rest area, like a little smoking zone, I guess, or vaping zone, or whatever you want these days. And then time for a new coaster. I decided that I wanted a nice coaster in here. I was going to say like a brand shiny new hyper coaster, but those are really not brand shiny new anymore, are they? I was doing some research on YouTube, and hyper coasters are I've been around for a while. I feel old. And then I realized that I had the height set to sea level instead of ground level, so I needed to adjust that. And then I came up with the idea of this nice little helix at the top here, just to bring the drop down to 200, and then off we go. So free-forming the track out. I don't have angle snap turned on. That's become more of a hindrance to me than anything. I used to use it religiously, but now I kind of go with it turned off. It causes more problems, I feel. So now I want a nice little rest hill here. So when they come up to the top, the train just kind of glides a little bit before it continues on its merry way. So here we go. Quick test here, and it flies off the top. So that's not quite good enough. A little bit higher. Another quick test. Around we go. Yay! Everyone dies. There we go. All right. So that looks pretty good. So we need to come down just a touch, and then we will continue on with some more nonsense. And I thought for a minute about doing another helix, and then I realized that really wouldn't be a thing. So down we go and up we go, and I'm going to try and do another return hill here with a little bit of a break on the top, and then back into the shenanigans. Another nice banked corner here, I believe. Yeah, I was like, a banked corner would be nice. You throw them onto their side in the seat, and down we go. That'd be great. And then into a helix. I've no clue how much momentum the train is going to have at this point, because I don't actually play with this particular track very often. This particular coaster very often. So I'm not overly familiar with how much friction it has. So it'll be interesting to find out once we do a test. Then I do the old maintenance track there, so we can put a little maintenance shed on and pretend that cars occasionally break down and need a little bit of greasing. And then, of course, there's a thunderstorm happening while I'm recording this, so I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and save this now, just in case the power goes out. And then we do an autocomplete just to get the track back to the station. We'll smooth it out a little bit, make it look a little bit better. And then we'll do a quick test. Let's see how horrific this ends up being. And away we go, round and round and round we go. Imagine how fast this would be if I had the game sped up as well. Okay, alright, so there we go. Lovely, lovely. This needs adjusting. That banked corner, or self-made banked corner there, caused me quite a lot of heartache and sleepless nights, but this is all in one shot, but it wasn't. It was just a lot of heartache. And then I wanted the main drop to be a little bit lower, so we adjust that. And off we go again, and a live test. I'd slow this down, but I don't want to. So around we go. And back to the station, and the stats aren't too bad. Let's open up this corner just a touch here. And then this one, we need to open up a bit, and of course we can't really do an adjust all, so I've got to do, I think it's banking and turn. because it can't go any higher because this only has a 70-degree maximum, I think. And I left those turned on for reasons. And that's pretty much done. So now we need to put down the path and connect everything up. I hate doing this, but you know, you have to. Alright, so it looks pretty good. You know, checking out the stats, making sure that we've got a reasonable drop. Entry, exit. Yep, and now it's time for the struggle bus and the pathing. Yay! Alright, so there we go. So my first thought was just to do a little snake around that way. Then I realized it wasn't actually touching the ground. So I'm like, here we go again. Alright, why won't you give me a straight piece of path, you bastard? Alright, so let's level out the terrain. We'll smooth it out. We'll come back and deal with that later. And we will put down a nice snaked path here. That should be long enough to accommodate everyone. And a speed pass if we go down that route. Now we'll hook up the exit and we'll open the ride. Now we just need to come up with a name, some theming, and all of that jazz. Now let's go ahead. We noticed that the people are getting a wee bit anxious. So I think a toilet or two. Actually, I think a toilet and a first aid place. Because I never really put first aid stations down, but they are a thing. So let's go ahead and we'll throw down a first aid station and a restroom in the same spot. And we'll come back and we'll theme those, or at least we'll put a decent building on those later. Let's go ahead and we'll pick out all the stanchions here, because, you know, again, they really wouldn't mow right up to them. They would they'd get the old roundup going and they would just kill the grass around it, so they didn't have to cut in with some poor bugger running around the park with a weed whacker, weed eating up to the concrete foundations. Because again, you don't really want water sitting against those for too long, because that will weaken the structure and you'll end up with maintenance costs faster than you really want. So let's go ahead and we're going to go put down these bushes and we're going to flesh out this part of the park here, or path rather, not the park. Yep, we'll get the hedges down so we've got a nice visual barrier too. And we'll come back later and we'll put the safety fencing behind that to make the coaster nice and safe. We'll get these down here. Some trees, some variation, and we're going to adjust this bit here. We need to come back and finish this bit off, I think. Get some more greenery just behind this fence. And then I realized that whilst everything's looking rather nice, my people don't have any shelter. So if it gets too sunny or too rainy, they're just going to stand there and be horribly miserable. And this was something that I did on my previous build. I was looking at doing like little cubbies for our employees who were standing there with their hands behind their backs, not really doing anything, which is a thing of the past in Planet Coaster 2. I don't know if you've watched the videos, but the new entrances don't have those gigantic brick pillars, and it looks like they're also missing the employees as well. So this is going to be the last park I have to do this on, which is quite nice. But I don't know. It is the alpha build. They haven't finished it yet, so we may yet see the reapplication of the giant bollards and the employee standing there. Let's not get too excited too quickly, right? But let's go ahead. We'll continue on with this one. We're gonna build him a little cubby, so he is sheltered from the elements if it suddenly decides to rain in this perfect world that we currently live in. I really hope that that's a thing in Planet Coaster 2, is that you don't have to just take care of the guests' needs as far as environmental concerns, rain, but sun as well. But I also hope that that is a thing for the employees as well, because obviously employees don't want to be standing in horrific sun all day. I've heard some of them at Universal complaining about it, and it's it's interesting. You know, you live and work in Florida, you think you would be used to the heat, but apparently not. Alright, so now we've got the basic shelter sorted out. Let's get some lighting on this bad boy. And I'm thinking about maybe an uplight, and then I realize that there's this nice pole light here that does a really good job. That just the back end needs covering up just a little bit. So we go ahead and we're gonna... Yeah, it's looking okay. Not great. It needs more. And I come up with the idea of, well, maybe like a little cubby that's built into this thing. You know, maybe he would have access to maybe a little refrigerator or a little cabinet with some information or, you know, panic flyers. You know, what to do if somebody does this. And maybe like a little communications panel too, like a little weatherproof radio or phone box or something, some way that he can use to communicate that there's a problem. So like chuck that in there. And then of course now we need a gridded element to attach this to, so we can select it as a single entity rather than multiple pieces, which makes moving around a lot easier. Alright, so we'll get that floating over there so we can sink it into the ground and hide the gridded element, and then we've just got our nice little element there. And then I look at it, I'm like, you know, I'm not really digging the roof. The roof's shite really. Let's see what else we've got. And then I realize somewhere I've got these pieces, these nice boards. I think these came with the Haunted or the Spooky DLC, and they come in really handy. I don't use them extravagantly, but I do use them quite a bit. And they do the job, and you know, they are free floating or free form pieces, so it's not so bad. All right, and then we put another support on this side just to make it a little more sensible. And that is it. And I have an idea to do another one. So in the next video, we might see me doing another variation on the old employee cubby. So now we've got that done. I need to do some theming and put some fencing around this. Sorry, some more theming. So, you know, I just put that down. We'll adjust that a little bit. And we need to put some fencing around there. I've no idea how I'm going to theme that yet. And then we've got this building here. And it's still irritating me that it's that thin. So let's go ahead and we are going to make an adjustment to this and make it just a wee bit fatter. I don't think that's the right word to use here, but it'll do. I don't think the builder's going to get too upset about being called fat. Let's adjust this here. We've got to adjust the roof. I'm going to put that down just a bit because I don't like the clipping. And then I realize, you know, well, it's still clipping a little bit. Damn it. So what if we put some siding on this? Great idea. There is a small problem with that, though. The inside corner that I have going on, like these outside edges, not a problem, right? I can just overlap them. But when I get to that inside corner there, that's where the nightmare begins and the whole thing falls apart. So we've got that clipping, nasty. We're going to cover that up with some edging. Lovely, excellent idea, mister. And we put the edging on there, and this is where I suddenly realize what the problem is. There's no inside corner for some of these, and some of the outside corners are they're just not going to cut it. I may revisit this later on because it's still in my mind now. It's still irritating me, so I may actually come back and revisit this. But I've got that slightly fat in there, so we can put the proper roofing on it. And I'm like, yeah, another decorative piece there. No, maybe not. All right. And then I'm just going to adjust these and call that it. So we did get quite a bit done. We got a new coaster. We put our sign up. We've got our building adjusted. And we've got a cubby for our employees. That's going to be pretty much it for this one. So if you have enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that like and follow and subscribe, whatever the hell the button's called here. And catch me next time. As always, comments and suggestions of a constructive nature are always welcome.